Hello, what is up, everybody? You are on with Matt on the Zach and Matt Show. We have a very special guest today. I'm very excited to introduce to you guys Dr. Jermaine Johnson, who is the South Carolina campaign chair for Andrew Yang and is now running for State House, the 80th seat in South Carolina. Dr. Johnson, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on, man. You have no idea how prestigious I feel to be on the Zach and Matt show. I feel like I made it, man.
But before we get started here, I do want to talk a little bit about fundraising, because ultimately, with all these campaigns and everything that everyone is doing in the Yang Gang, we're a grassroots movement. We're running against people that are always more well funded than us. They have all the establishment, etc., lined up, which is why I want to try to see if during this stream, before we kind of get into things, because I do want to talk about the campaign a bit, and then obviously get into your race. But let's try to raise, like, I don't know, set a number, like at least $100 during this stream, and if anyone donates, you can get a shout out on the stream with Dr. Johnson as it's going live. So, but let's get started. For viewers who may be a little bit unfamiliar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and kind of what drove you to get into politics in the first place?
Yeah, so I'm originally from California, man, and I grew up in a crazy type of environment. But I'm one of the anomalies that was able to make it out. I ended up playing basketball, and basketball is really what saved my life, is what I like to credit it to. So with that being said, I ended up getting a scholarship to go play basketball at College of Charleston in South Carolina, and I stayed here, man. I stayed here. Politics was never my thing. It was always like, I always thought I was just going to play basketball forever. And I was always involved with, like, trying to help certain individuals, trying to help disadvantaged individuals. And I kind of got pushed into politics. So like I said, it wasn't for me, but, I spoke at a forum one night out where I live. And when I spoke, I took the notice of one of our state representatives, Representative Joe Neal, who actually passed away. If you look up Joe Neal, you will come across one of his famous videos. And that's when he spoke on the State House floor here about that Confederate flag that was up here in South Carolina and how it needed to come down. Well, he is in my community, and he, took a liking to me, and he became one of my mentors at that moment when I spoke. He said, "Jermaine, listen, you're the exact type of leader we need. You're the future, and everything you're saying is exactly spot on. I want to help you with whatever it is you're doing." And he became my mentor. So he would take me to lunch, and we would sit down and talk about my future and the plans that I had. And then he was the reason why I became an appointed official in South Carolina. So I'm a Richland County Recreation Commissioner, and you have to be appointed. So the legislators vote on you, and then you get appointed by the governor. So I'm one of those officials, and it was all because of Representative Joe Neal. He believed in me and wanted to jumpstart my political career. So when I got involved with the Recreation Commission, I then became the third vice chair of the Richland County Democratic Party. I got involved with the South Carolina Democratic Black Caucus. I got involved with the Young Democrats of Central Midlands. I got involved with the Young Democrats of South Carolina. I got my nonprofit organization helping individuals. So I just kind of went from there and blew up, man. So I'm just excited about it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's an incredible story. I was is that background noise I hear?
No.
Okay. I think I'm hearing. Do you have headphones plugged in?
No, but let me see if I can hook some up.
Yeah. That'll be good, just because I hear a echo.
Let me see if I can get something. I know I got some Bluetooth stuff here. Let's see if we can get this good Bluetooth. Bluetooth.
Let me test this now. Yeah, I still hear a little bit of an echo, but I think it's good now.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Good. I got
We're
my
good.
headphones on.
Yeah. No problem about that. That's a really incredible story, and I remember there was this article here in the Post and Courier in the local paper, I guess in Charleston, just talking about your youth and your background, and it really is kind of an incredible story. Talking about that you were homeless during your youth and had a turbulent kind of upbringing, and to see getting to the point now where you're part of this new rise of leaders coming out to
Mhm.
represent the people. It is very inspiring. And I'm curious, how did once you kind of got into the political scene in South Carolina, how did you then transition to where you started working with Andrew Yang's campaign? Or I guess, how did you first even hear about Andrew and his
Yeah.
campaign?
So in with the work that I do in South Carolina, I'm involved with a lot of economic stuff. So helping the individuals, like I was telling the disadvantaged individuals, get their life skills and get employment. So I was working for the Midlands Fatherhood Coalition, and when I was working for the Fatherhood Coalition, we was helping men become back involved in the lives of their children. So I would be responsible for going out and helping them find jobs. So I was a job developer. So I would go out to these big companies like Michelin, and I was doing job tours. And in Michelin, the big old plants, you think you would see all these people, but you see people, but you see a lot of automation in there. Like you see the big robotic arms, you see the automatic things that are cleaning, you see all this stuff. So at that exact time, I was, doing my research for different presidential candidates. And, the first person I really loved was Cory Booker. Cory Booker was talking to me, he was a black man, and I felt really good about what he was saying. But when you take another look at some of these things, you start to see that, you can't just go on, feelings and emotions and things like that, because Trump supporters are doing the exact same thing. They're going on feelings and emotions. So I said, man, I gotta be logical about this stuff. Who's actually out there trying to solve these problems, and doing more research. And I came across Andrew, and I was like, oh man. So Andrew talking about, I'm gonna give everybody $1,000 a month. I was like, I could use $1,000 a month, And then I looked more closely at what he was talking about. He was talking about the automation. He was talking about things that I was literally seeing every single day in the work that I did. And then when more of his policies were coming around, I saw that if his policies were enacted, a lot of the things that I had went through when I was a kid, I would not have had to deal with. With the family counseling and with the addiction stuff and all the different things, all his policies. I said, man, look, my life would not have been my life had we had an Andrew Yang, presidency. So, I said, man, I got to get behind this guy. So, I was, going to all of my meetings, and I was telling everybody about Andrew Yang, man. I was Yang Gang long before anybody was Yang Gang in South Carolina. Yeah. So I was telling everybody about Andrew Yang, man. I mean, they were getting sick of me talking about Andrew Yang at every meeting I went to. And they were like, listen, Jermaine, we can't spend the entire meeting talking about Andrew Yang. I said, man, but have y'all looked at this man yet? Like, have you checked him out? So at that time, our good buddy Barrett Hurd, who was he was the YG, whatever that position is, he was that person for South Carolina and like all the Southeast. And he was calling around some of these different organizations looking for somebody who was in politics and was an Andrew Yang supporter or wanted to be a part of the Yang Gang. And he called my president of my Young Democrats group. And she was like, oh my God, listen, we got the perfect guy. All he does is talk about Andrew Yang during all of our meetings. We're going to put you in contact with him, right? So she called me. I was like, yes! Yeah! I was screaming. When he called me, I was running through the parking lot of the hospital screaming. I was so excited. I was so excited that the Yang Gang wanted me to officially be a part of it. So I told her, I said, man, whatever y'all want me to do, I'm here to do it. Like I'm ready to rock and roll.
I mean, that's awesome. I think so many people can empathize with every single conversation they have. They somehow slip Andrew Yang into it, and you feel like you're going insane. But nah, his ideas were so great, and that's I want to know what was maybe your favorite moment during the campaign, or a specific moment that stands out to you of that is something that really you still think about maybe to this day.
It was a whole bunch of them, man. But the first one is probably when Andrew first came to South Carolina. When Andrew first came to South Carolina, he didn't shake my hand. Andrew hugged me, man. And he told me, he said, "Wow, you even better looking in person." Oh my God! Yeah, so he was calling me handsome and gave me a hug, man. I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, all right, brother." So when he first came, and I had set him up a meeting, this one with volunteers. So I don't think they knew that I was as connected as I was in South Carolina. So his first meeting, I had a meeting with our mayor, Mayor Benjamin, and we know he's super big time, across the state of South Carolina and pretty much across America. So I had a meeting with Mayor Benjamin, and then I had him set up with a whole bunch of stuff. So that very, very first, weekend that he came here to South Carolina, probably the most memorable. Another time was when, so I went to College of Charleston, and we just hired our first person of color to be the president of the College of Charleston, and he's an immigrant, and he's an Asian immigrant. And the very first one, so I said, you know what? I think this would be amazing to have Andrew meet with this new president. So I set that up for them to meet together, and to kind of stand on the sideline to watch these two individuals who are the sons of immigrants to be the first to do what they have done was just an amazing feeling for me. I was getting emotional just watching them, just thinking about what was going through their minds. Saying like, man, listen, my father or my grandfather would have never, like, I'm their wildest dream. It's the same feeling that I get, thinking about my ancestors. Like, man, I'm their wildest dream to go from what I went through to be Dr. Johnson and be running for office. Like, man, what are they feeling at this present moment? To be the first to do what they're doing, and their ancestors are immigrants that came to this country. It's just an amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Andrew, he was trying to be the first Asian American president, and that meant would have meant something to so many people. And it's time to just break all these barriers across politics. I want to know, in your eyes, or before I ask that question, what was going through your mind the night that Andrew Yang ultimately suspended his campaign in New Hampshire? Because I can't imagine for people like yourself and the whole team in South Carolina putting in all that work and time each and every day to try to get the name out there, and then not even be able to have the race come to your state. It's got to be a disappointing feeling, but maybe there was a silver lining in all of it.
Yeah, so I think I knew before everybody. I knew because I had been on the campaign for so long, and I had been involved with, because just to back up a little bit, Andrew himself hired me. Like, Andrew Yang himself hired me. Like, I didn't go through all things. Like, Andrew called me and was like, "Yo, I love you. I want you on the campaign." So that, that's how I got in contact. Yeah, so that's why me and him are like good buddies. That's why I can call him and text him, whenever I need to, because like he hired me himself. So they called me when they were talking about when they were going over the probabilities of them going on. So I knew like a week and a half before everybody else, that it was a possibility that they were going to be suspending. We had certain target goals that we wanted to hit, and we said, listen, if we don't hit this, there's no no pathway to success. So when I talked to them on the phones, it was like, all right, well, before we even get to this, let's go ahead and just say our goodbyes. I said my goodbyes to Zach, and we talked about some things on the phone, and I talked to everybody else, and so I knew what was coming down toward the end. So but I got emotional, of course, because I put my heart and soul into that campaign. I mean, I was sulking for like a week after, just laying on the couch looking at the ceiling when that happened, because I went hard. yeah, a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know that when Andrew hired me, I was the only person working for the campaign for like 6 months. So I was literally going, in South Carolina. So I was literally driving across the state in my car, going to each county, setting up the meetings, doing the reports, doing everything by myself. So I was like doing all of that stuff, So I was hurt, man. I was hurt when I talked about it. But I'm glad to see that our work didn't go in vain, because we brought this to a national stage. People are talking about him. He's even more famous now than ever. I mean, it's great, and the fact that we know people are taking our ideas now. I mean, it's just a great thing now. So we have nothing to hang our heads low about.
Yeah, no, 100%, and I think that's a great way to end it there. Like going from feeling like everything I was working towards just came to a sudden halt, but then just now looking at it just a few months removed and seeing how that campaign was not a one-off thing. It's going to be it's really was the start of a movement, and that's why me personally, I mean, I think especially for candidates like yourself, and again, for those just jumping in, we have Dr. Jermaine Johnson here. He's running for the 80th seat in South Carolina State House. I think we need to do everything in our power to elevate voices like yourself and bring the new wave of leaders into South Carolina and Washington and states across the country. So if you guys can donate to Dr. Jermaine Johnson, I'm going to put the link in the chat once again. I want to thank Jamie for the $20 donation, as well as Darla for the $5 donation.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Darla. Thank you all.
I know it means so much to these guys who are running for office. To give up your hard-earned money to put into something that, because you believe in someone, it's a very humbling feeling.
It's extremely humbling for me. I mean, it's like, because I get to these places and I was on a panel because I went through the Clyburn Fellowship, and I was on a panel of leaders for the campaigns, and I'm also in the group. And they're asking me questions, they're asking everybody questions, and I'm telling them, like, man, I'm just grateful to be up here with you all. Like, a lot of them were raised in this type of environment. They were raised in this. They grew up with this type of stuff. They've had mentors their entire life for politics. And I'm like, y'all have no idea how it feels to be me right now. Like, it's like it's just an absolute. I'm starstruck. Like, when people come up to me, like, when Dave Chappelle came to South Carolina, and people were coming up to me at the show like, "Oh my God, it's Dr. Jermaine Johnson." I'm like, I'm still walking around like, "Oh my God, it's you." I'm absolutely just humbled and thrilled, that I get to do what I'm doing right now, man. This is amazing.
I can't confirm that, because when I first met you in South Carolina, I remember I was on live stream and I was like, "Oh, I really want to go say hi to Jermaine." And I walked up and I was like, "Hi, sir. It's such a pleasure to meet you." And you're like, "Hold up. No, it's a pleasure to meet you." Definitely on spot about that. Before we move on to your campaign specifically, I have one more question related to your work with Andrew's campaign. What do you think, in your eyes, if Andrew were to run again in some capacity, that the campaign or the Yang Gang or whichever, what do you think that could be done differently or to improve things in the future in terms of strategy or getting the message out?
Yeah, I think that if he decides to run again in 2024, I think our focus on which primary states will be different. I think if he was to focus the universal basic income on South Carolina, I honestly think we come in top 3 in South Carolina if he focused that same message in South Carolina. And the reason why is because the people in South Carolina really like the idea of the universal basic income, but the people in Iowa didn't like it. The people in New Hampshire didn't like it. So we were giving these states a product that they didn't want. So if we were to talk to these other states about, things that they actually wanted, but we talked to South Carolina about the things that they did want, I think we come in, top 3 in South Carolina. So I think our focus will be a little bit different if he decides to run again. But it doesn't matter if he runs again or doesn't run again. I'm always going to be an Andrew Yang supporter. I'm going to be behind it. If he runs for a local public water servant, I'm endorsing him.
Yeah, no,
I'm endorsing him. So
I know.
I'm with him.
People talk about Andrew running for New York City mayor, and they're like, I'm gonna get an apartment for like 3 people, but we're just gonna cram 12 people in there and just campaign 24/7, go door to door.
Seriously, yeah. I am a full-on supporter advocate for Andrew Yang. I really am.
Heck yeah. What can you tell us about your specific race in the 80th district there in South Carolina? Is it an open primary? Is there an incumbent that you'd be challenging?
Yeah. So there is an incumbent right now. His name is Jimmy Bales, Dr. Jimmy Bales. He's been in this seat for 20 plus years. And he is just, he's done great things in the past. He's done a lot for my community. However, what has taken place recently is just he's just no longer the right choice to lead our district and to lead the future generations of my district. So my district, is 50% black, 50% white. There's a little sprinkle here and there of everything else. But it's just time to pass the torch. He's had some health issues in the past few years, and it's just time for somebody like myself to come in under his wisdom, but also to carry it on with new progressive ideas like a universal basic income, like the mobile app that I'm proposing, the things like that for the district that we're over. So, I really want to be there. I really want to be the leader to take this thing on and to further, improve the things that are going on in our community. So, I want to be an advocate for broadband internet, because between my 2 counties that I'm going to be over, 7,000 people don't have any access to broadband internet, and that should be a priority of anybody, especially if we're leading into this new age of technology and students are doing work from home. Especially, it just shows right now with this coronavirus, man, like how important that stuff is. And now you got to think now between my 2 counties, there's 7,000 people who probably have to go to a McDonald's right now to sit in the parking lot to just do their work that they're expected to do. So things like this have to be at the forefront of the people of my district, and I'm just prepared, and I've already done the research, and I'm ready to get started.
Absolutely. And thank you, George, for the $5 donation to Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
George, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Keep them rolling in here.
Let's keep rolling. Yes, please. Yes, please.
What are you doing specifically? It's hard right now because of coronavirus, but to spread that message of your message to the voters of South Carolina, and following up on that, what advice would you have for other candidates who have decided to take, I guess, the shield of Andrew Yang and try to bring some new leadership to their communities?
Yeah. So what I'm really doing right now is I'm taking a page out of Andrew Yang's playbook, and that's being a champion of the internet. If you're a champion of the internet, you get a lot of these videos and get the Yang Gang behind you and get supporters behind you that are all over the internet. You're getting with a lot of the younger generation, and these are the people that are mainly up for a change. They want to change. I had a conversation, I believe it was yesterday morning, with one of our state legislators, and this state legislator, I don't want to tell you, this person's name, but the state legislator, was like, Jermaine, you are the future, and your generation is the future, and you can really take advantage of this time to really get your message out and talk to the people that a lot of other people aren't talking to. That's being a champion of this internet, and using the text messages and all the other stuff that traditional older campaigns aren't doing or haven't been doing. So I'm being a forward thinker to get my message out to the masses of people, while also doing phone banking and things like that. And we're going to be doing some mailers coming up in the next week or so. Just to get it out to the proper channels. Of course, with a generation like an aging population like what we have here in South Carolina, of course, going door to door is a great thing. You know, you want to knock on doors, but in this situation, what we got going on, we have to adapt and move forward and progress, and that's exactly what we're doing. So if there's anybody out there that wants to, you know, do some things, like I would suggest to getting a brand, you know, making a brand. So, you know, I have hashtag New 80. You know, I'm doing hashtag New 80 and Yang Gang United. You know, and you get yourself a brand. That's what Andrew Yang did. You know, the Yang Gang is a brand, and it's more than a brand; it's a movement. And once you create something like that people can hang on to, can grab onto, you know, it comes second to none. Because think about yourself when you became a part of the Yang Gang. You know, the Yang Gang is literally a place for anybody. It's where people, you know, who felt like they didn't have nowhere to go, and it gave us inspiration, it gave us motivation. We accepted everybody for who they were and what they wanted to do. It didn't matter if you're black, white, didn't matter if you were a Republican, didn't matter if you're a Democrat, independent, green. We accepted everybody with open arms and love. And you create something like that people can attach on to, that feel like they have nowhere to go. Man, you can be a great inspiration to your community.
Absolutely. I want to know, you mentioned phone banking. Is there any way through your website that people would be able to sign up to phone bank for your campaign?
Yes, if you just scroll on to the bottom, if you go to the link and scroll down to the bottom, you know, there should be a spot where it says join our team. You can, and that email, once you send that there, you can come right to our email and we'll reach out to you. Or you could just email info@johnsonforsc.com, info@johnsonforsc.com. And you can do that as well. You can shoot me a message on Twitter. You can at me on Twitter, you know, and we'll get you in contact with the right people. You know, whatever it is, but we definitely got to, I think we have about 18,000 phone numbers we need to call. Now, if one person is calling, that's super hard. But if you got 10, 15 people that are doing that, that's literally nothing. So, you know, if we can get people to do that to help, you know, phone bank, and we're going to start doing text banking. I mean, we could knock these numbers out, you know, in a week.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, 17,000 sounds like a lot, but that's about, you just get like, you know, 10, 20 people on it. You can knock all that out in a few days.
Yeah, you really can.
So there's no better way to spread the message than having actual conversations. And if there's anyone who's in South Carolina and this coronavirus thing hopefully dies down, I'm sure Jermaine would be happy to have you volunteer to go door to door. Thank you for Sylvie for the $20 donation.
Thank you, Sylvie.
As well as Michi, who donated $10.
Thank you so much.
And lastly, David's in Canada, but he did $11 to Humanity Forward because he can't donate.
It's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Humanity Forward, you are the first candidate to be endorsed by Humanity Forward.
Yes.
Gotta feel awesome.
Yeah. So Andrew called me, and he was like, "Listen, you're gonna be the first candidate we're gonna endorse." He said, "I mean." So this is her exact words. So, I mean, if we can't endorse Dr. Johnson, what the heck are we doing here? I said, all right, brother, well, I appreciate that, you know. So, you know, he wanted to make sure that I was the first candidate that he was going to endorse. You know, he kind of let the cat out of the bag, because I had told him I was thinking about it when he came on his first trip to South Carolina. And he announced it to a crowd in my community that I was going to run for office. I was like, "Oh, I didn't even get a chance to do it." So, but yeah, he's known for like over a year that I was thinking about running for this office, and you know, he's always been a supporter of mine.
Yeah, no, that's gotta feel really good. And Enrique asks, you mentioned something about a mobile app. What was that about?
Yeah, so. I've already talked to a couple of web developers about this. They told me it's going to cost about 15 grand, right? So I'm trying to create this new software for the people in my district. And you should be able to go into this software, this new site and a mobile app, and sign up using your address and confirming your address by like a bill and an ID and all that other stuff to you know, make sure that you are actually a constituent of mine. And you will be able to go into this site and you'll have a profile. And all of these state house bills that are in South Carolina that will have some sort of effect on you and your district will automatically be fed into this profile here. And you will be able to go on there and click support or do not support. And underneath that, you get to put your comments in on why you chose support and do not support. And for all 39,000 of my people, they will have access to be able to do this. And then the actual results of this will come directly to me in a database, and I will be able to see the results of, hey, my constituents want me to support it or they want me to not support it. All right, so if they want me to support it, that will be the basis of my decision for what I'm supporting and what I'm not supporting, because that's truly, allowing my constituents to have their voices heard. That's truly allowing democracy to work. So that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I know other candidates. Once I get that thing into play, I'm sure other reps are going to be coming to me asking for this, asking for the makeup of this thing. But that's going to be the main thing of it. All the bills that will affect it, they will be in summarized forms, so people in my district will be able to understand them in layman's terms.
Yeah, I mean, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was out of my mouth. I was about to talk about democracy. I mean, that sounds amazing, and that's again what I love about what I loved about Andrew Yang and just the whole Yang gang is coming up with these unique ideas. I'd never heard of something like that before, but that just sounds like such a smart and sensible way to really connect with the people that you'd be representing in a the digital technological age. Use the technology to citizens' benefits.
Yep.
I have kind of a more personal questions for you. How religious are you, and how does your faith play a role in your politics?
Yeah, so I am very religious. I'm in church on Sundays. I go to St. John Baptist here in Hopkins, South Carolina, and so I when I grew up, my mother has always been very religious and faithful, but I was always all over the place, and I have been in lots of trouble and going around and moving to different places and things like that. But nothing. I don't believe anything happens by chance. I believe it's there's a reason why these things happen. So with everything that I've gone through in my life, it has allowed me and afforded me the opportunity to speak to anybody about any type of situation that anybody can come up with. I've got a story for pretty much everything. So I'm really like a chameleon. Like, I can really talk to you about anything you want to talk about, and I'll have something in common. So I teach these classes to individuals who have gone through some certain things, people who come out of jail. I teach to employees these life skills and soft skills classes. And some people will say, hey, I'm still trying to figure out how to get over my brother being killed. I'm like, well, I've lost two brothers, and one of them was murdered by a guy who was supposed to be his best friend. And they say, oh man, well, my parents, went through this and did that. Well, I said, well, both of my parents were going through some things as well, and I was abused. All right. And they say, all right, well, my education wasn't good. And I said, well, I went to 7 different high schools and I had a 0.8 GPA, starting out. And they say, all right, well, I'm a sports guy. I love sports. How do I do sports? Well, I play professional basketball. So I literally, I have a story for every situation that you could probably come up with, from streets to politics, so that, and I think that is exactly what the youth needs to see. That's why I do a lot of mentoring in my community, because the youth need to see that it's possible, that you can fail and still be successful. You can fall down and you can still get back up. You can be who you want to be. You can be as successful you want to be. You can go where you want to go. You can do what you want to do. But sometimes people just need to see an example of what that even looks like. And I want to be tangible for these individuals, for this new generation. I want to be in the community and going to the schools and talk to the kids and saying, hey, this is who I am. You can come talk to me whenever you want to. That's why I go to the parks and shoot basketball and play around with the kids and I talk to them. But I don't never go in there with a shirt and tie on and the blazers and coats and things. I go in there with a hoodie and shorts on. And they don't know that I'm Dr. Johnson. And I tell the people, like, hey, the elders, I tell them, like, you have no idea that I've been mentoring your kids for like 10 years. Like, I've been helping your kids out for 10 years. Like, I've literally stopped 2 guys from shooting each other one time. They literally pulled their guns out and I got it. I stopped that from that happening. It's like, I've been doing this for a long time, but I've been doing it like in an anonymous way. I've been doing it in an anonymous way. I don't ask for the clout. I don't ask for the recognition. I'm doing it because I truly care about these people out here. So, my faith is here. One of my buddies, when he heard my life story, he said, Jermaine, it didn't happen to you. It happened through you. it happened through you for a reason, so you can do what it is that you're doing to keep serving these people out here that need to hear some sort of an inspiration and give them just an inkling of hope. People just need a little bit of hope so they can move forward. You give somebody a little bit of hope. That's why Barack Obama was so successful. He gave people some hope, like just a little bit of hope, man. You give people just need a little bit of hope in this world of just depression right now. Just give them some hope.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Just that little hearing that, that it makes me feel hopeful. It makes me feel inspired just now. If I ever have any issues, I'd love to have you be my mentor.
Come call me, brother.
What are some common misconceptions that I know you said you thought South Carolina would be much more UBI friendly than say Iowa or New Hampshire, but despite that, what are maybe some common misconceptions that you've heard about UBI through your campaigning in the state?
Well, with UBI, you always hear people saying, "Well, where's the money going to come from? Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for that? What's going?" You always hear that excuse for the stuff all the time. Well, thank you. You make me happy too. But you always hear stuff like that, and it's like, man, nobody asks where the money's going to come from when it goes to these big old banks and these big companies and nobody asking where the money's coming from and who's going to pay for that then. But now all of a sudden you want to ask, where the money's going to come from, when it's coming back to the people who need it most. One of the things that had me upset when Yang was running was that, they literally were okay with these presidential candidates paying these big companies and these big people that were running and these churches and paying these big people, but they weren't there. But they were super upset with Yang giving the money back to the people that gave it to him in the first place.
Yep.
And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
I said, this is absolutely ridiculous. He's giving it back to you, and you're mad about it.
Yep.
So,
it shows just the weird psychological like just the way we're programmed. It's like the feeling of receiving some sort of help. It's like it's something that you're supposed to be like. It's the whole mindset, the mindset of abundance versus scarcity. We're not programmed in a way where people are like, wait, the government would actually finally do something for me for once and give me $1,000 cash. What? No, that can't happen.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Andrew's UBI giving away the money directly to the families. And in your campaign, that's one of the things that you're trying to do is you want to give away a freedom dividend, $1,000 to some families in South Carolina.
Yeah, so I'm trying to raise $100,000 so I can give 2 universal basic income, 2 UBIs to 2 families here in my district, and I'm doing that so I can gather the information that needs to be done. I could do the reporting as to what they were spending the money on, help them get financial literacy, having people some financial advice to meet with them and to show them that, that this universal basic income will actually assist rather than, the contrary of, make people lazy. I want to get all this intel, all this information so that when I'm elected, I will have a better chance of getting it passed statewide or at least for across a few more counties in South Carolina. I want to go into the state house prepared with actual data that supports everything that I'm going to be running on and that I'm talking about, rather than getting in there and then trying to pass something. I'm going to be going in there prepared. And I'm the same way Yang was. So when Yang was running, he would say that, I want to be president, but however, if I don't be president, I want you to take my ideas and let's get this out there. So even if I do this UBI pilot program and I do the report that I'm trying to do when it comes to figuring out what my constituents' biggest concerns are, if I don't get elected, I'm still going to make all that data available to whoever the individual is that's in that position for my district, because it's not about me, it's about the people of my district and making sure that they get, the best support and help that they need.
Yeah, that's awesome. So guys, remember, if you're watching this, donate because some of that money is going to be hopefully going if we can raise enough with this campaign. When's the date of your election, or do you not know? Because I don't know what coronavirus is.
Yeah, this coronavirus thing has got things going crazy right now. So right now it's scheduled for June 9th is the primary. But we don't know if that's going to be pushed back. It's potentially going to be pushed back to like August. Mm-hmm. But right now it's going to be going on. It'll be happening up until it'll be happening June 9th.
Yeah. So let's raise $100,000 for Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
Yes. So
bring the Yang Gang love,
please,
and make this happen.
Yeah.
UBI away.
When is it? So we want to do this special announcement on June 5th. And June 5th, we got some big heavy hitters that will be coming to South Carolina, including Yang, and to do this big event with me to talk about the UBI pilot program and all that. So, we want to do that by June 5th. So that means we need to do the announcement of some things in May. So that means we got this month, and we have to hit it hard this month with fundraising. If I can't get the 100,000, then I probably can only do one family if I get about 55,000. So but we want the 100,000 to get it. But if we can't, at least let's get the 55,000. I'm about 35,000 away from that 55,000 mark. If we can get that, then we can at least get one family in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Steve says, Matt, you got to live stream Yang on the trail. And I cannot tell you how excited I possibly am for the opportunity to go to a campaign event that has Andrew Yang there and stand there and be like, donate right now to Jermaine Johnson's campaign. Let's go, Yang Gang. Woo!
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. We're coming up to about the end of our time here. I have a few little fun rapid fire questions. What's your favorite food?
Cabbage. My mother's cabbage is my favorite food, man. My mother, I know it's strange.
Must have made it really good.
Yeah, man. My mother's cabbage. And I go to the store, I buy cabbage, and I try to recreate it. It's never as good, man. But it's my mother's cabbage.
That is something. Number one pet peeve.
Oh God. I would say uncleanliness, man. Like people who don't clean up after themselves. Like if you come in the house and just throw whatever on the ground, I just can't deal with it, man. Like I can't deal with it. So yeah, uncleanliness.
What's this one say?
They're laughing at me because I like cabbage.
Yeah. I was expecting to hear like pizza or one of the common answers. It's just cabbage. Yeah. It came out of left field. Silliest fear.
Oh my gosh. Silliest fear. Geez, what am I scared of? Oh man. I have to ask my wife, man. That's a good one. Yeah, I need to figure out what am I scared of, man. That is a good darn question. Maybe that I'll never. So I've been trying to grow a beard, and yours is cool, by the way. But I can't grow a beard. That. So maybe it's that I'll just be a baby face forever. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
And then last one is can you still dunk?
I think I can get a one-handed dunk. When me and Andrew went to go play ball with Dominique, I think I got one in there. So I think I can get a one-handed dunk. I can't do a two-handed dunk like I used to, but I can do a one-handed dunk. But of course, I can look at all my pictures and videos of me dunking. So I do that.
Yeah, if you played basketball one-on-one against Andrew, do you go easy on him because you don't want to make him feel too bad?
I'm gonna beat Andrew by 1,000 points.
That's what I was expecting.
I am not. Listen, so I think we played. What did we play when we played with Dominic? Me and him played horse, and I smoked him, man. I was like, I'm not gonna let you win. I'm not gonna give you this confidence, brother. We're competitive.
Yeah, I remember. I forget Obama. He played basketball against like some star, and the star they said let Obama win.
Yeah.
Dr. Jermaine Johnson, he's gonna go hard all the time.
Yeah,
But
that's not happening.
we've reached the end of our little time slot here, and again, thank you so much for coming on. I enjoyed the conversation. I don't think I've laughed that much during one of these yet. So if you guys want to donate to the campaign, it's Johnson for SouthCarolina.com. Look them up on Twitter. There's gonna be a lot of exciting stuff happening, and I'll let you finish it off and say bye to everybody.
Yo, everybody who's tuning in, who's not tuning, who's going to tune in later. I mean, I thank you all so much for everything you've done, everything that you're just for believing in me. You have no idea how humbled I am just to have all these people to say that they believe in me, that I'm a leader, that I'm all this cool stuff. Having people coming up to me and talking to me and saying that I'm just awesome and this, that, and the third. I mean, I am just extremely humbled at this stuff, man. I mean, I had somebody that literally drove from North Carolina, like the deep part of North Carolina, to come to South Carolina just to meet me. Like, it is an absolute, just a humble feeling. And I just want to say thank you all so much for everything you've done. Every contribution you've given, we appreciate it. We appreciate everything. Even if a dollar, we appreciate that. If you want to continue to contribute, please go to johnsonversc.com. Just hit the donate button if you want to come volunteer, if you want to phone bank, text bank, anything that you want to do. We will greatly appreciate it. But thank you so much, and I look forward to being, whoever's representative. I look forward to continue to lead you all.
Mm-hmm. No, but for real though, thank you for what you're doing, because it's you want to have that humbleness, but no, it's really appreciated. It's a tremendous sacrifice to be out on the campaign trail on the time. So really, thanks for everything you're doing, and I'm excited to hopefully campaign for you in South Carolina not before long.
Yes. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Yep. All right. Take care, everybody. Donate.
Thank you.
We'll see ya.
Donate.